it was an amazing experience. Never thought that I would be in Costa Rica, like helping build a house for a family. And it's like an experience that I'll never forget, just like seeing the way of life there and like then coming back and seeing ours. And just being able to, like be grateful for everything that we have and just know that like God is in control throughout anything that we do in life. And so that was my experience. So
I think the biggest thing is like when you go on the mission trip, you expect to change other people's lives, but really you're also changing your own and your own perspective on a lot of things. And that was just super cool. The family that we got to help build the house for was just awesome. I think the biggest thing that still sticks with me is when we were there, their family had prayed inside the house after we had built it. And it was just super unique as we were waiting, because we waited and then we all went in to pray with them. But for them to do that before we even went into the home was just so cool to see God's hand on that whole process.
Welcome back to the Zen Game podcast. I'm Danny. I am here with Shaylon and Presleigh, and I'm very excited to have you guys today.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Excited to be here too. So I hear that you guys are best friends. Is that correct?
yeah,
We are good.
we are, because we played next to each other. So
Is that both on the field and off the field?
yeah, I feel like it is. Yeah, for sure.
How does that kind of inform like your connection when you're playing? Do you kind of sometimes anticipate like or guess what someone's going to do before it happens, or
I feel like we're pretty good at like knowing what each other's gonna do. Or like just communication wise, like I feel like we're pretty much always on the same page. And usually like if I know that I can't get it, I know that she's gonna be there. So I feel like we just have good balance like on the field and off the field. We pretty much know how we're gonna react to different things.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is like when you're so close off the field that when you go on the field, the trust that's there, we play right side together. So knowing, like, trusting that she's there and everything that she calls, because she's a big part of the leadership from that right side. So I think that plays a big part in, like, trusting her and knowing, like, her, strengths already before we get on the field and off the field helps on the field.
and did you guys build that relationship over time, like while you were playing together, or did you already come into this team kind of having that foundation?
Oh yeah, no, we built this we built our relationship coming in since we transferred together, which our past teammate, well, our teammate Amber, and then we all came in with each other, so we were able to like build off of each other and build that relationship once we came in, because we roomed with each other as soon as we came in. So we were just able to know each other's personalities, and then that just like carried on to the field.
So wait, what was y'all's first ever impression of each other? Like, did you think of something that you ended up being completely wrong about later down the road?
I don't really know. Like, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just like more like chill, laid back. So then when I first met Presleigh and Amber, they were definitely not that. They were outgoing. They were always wanting to hang out. And me, like, I am a person that wants to be in my room. Like, they were only knocking on my door whenever when we first moved in together. But I soon started to get, used to their personalities and things like that. But no, I didn't really have any, like, first impressions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think for me, we knew right away that she was very, chill. She wanted to be in her room, and we're like, Shaylon, please come hang out with us. Like, but I think that was the fun part of getting to know each other and really building that relationship with each other, was just like getting each other out of her comfort zone and forcing her to come hang out with us. And
See, but
it was a lot of fun.
I love that, because I'm the kind of person, I match people's energy. So this has happened to me with a roommate situation where like there's like a more chill person that doesn't come out of their shell, and I'm like, okay, fine, like but then it's so fun when you have someone that kind of challenges that and gets you out of it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. That's for sure what they were.
Yeah, I mean, we gave her her space. We didn't just barge in whenever. But I think, like, there were times when it was like, you need to come out and we need to go, like, do something.
Yeah.
Or we need to, like, hang out in the living room together or pull pranks on each other. So I think it was just a lot of fun.
That's so fun. And I heard that you guys even went on a mission trip together. Can you talk about that? I mean, I'm sure that deepened your faith and kind of changed you in all sorts of ways, right?
Yeah. So since me and since we had came in transferred in with each other, we always heard about the mission trip, and we wanted to go. The first year we weren't able to go, and then the second year it was just like kind of too late, I guess, in the sense of like when we were figuring out like the whole process. But we wanted to let our director of ops, Danny, know because she is like one of those that go on the mission trip every year. And so we wanted to make sure that we went with like people that we knew and like, softball, some of our teammates. And so four of us were able to go. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. Never thought that I would be in Costa Rica, like helping build a house for a family. And it's like an experience that I'll never forget, just like seeing the way of life there and like then coming back and seeing ours. Um, and just being able to, like be grateful for everything that we have and just know that like God is in control throughout anything that we do in life. And so that was my experience. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What about from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it was obviously Danny plays a huge part in that because she's our director of ops, but she also was able to go with us and was a big part of that. We had past teammates who've gone too, so they let us know how everything went. But I think the biggest thing is like when you go on the mission trip, you expect to change other people's lives, but really you're also changing your own and your own perspective on a lot of things. And that was just super cool. The family that we got to help build the house for was just awesome. I think the biggest thing that still sticks with me is when we were there, and their family had prayed inside the house after we had built it, and it was just super unique as we were waiting because we waited and then we all went in to pray with them. But for them to do that before we even went into the home was just so cool to see God's hand on that whole process. And then the other cool thing was we were also in each other's small groups after with Danny. And I think that's a huge thing of just reflecting on each day as it went on and how we saw God. We did the scavenger hunt, and every day, like how did we each see God? And for all of us to share and have our perspective on that was super cool. And unique to see how, God was in other people's lives and not just your own on that trip.
That's beautiful. How long were you guys there?
a week.
A week.
Mhm.
Wow. And you built a house.
Yes.
That's so crazy. That's so beautiful. So talking a little bit more about faith, for each of you, was there a moment kind of in your journey where your faith was just really tested or it helped you kind of overcome something that maybe at the time you didn't know how you were going to overcome it?
Yeah, I feel like for me, it was definitely here at Baylor my first year. I tore my labrum when we played Oklahoma State my first year. And that was like the year that I felt like I was performing at like one of the highest levels. And so whenever it happened, I just like completely fell into tears and I was just like, there's no way this could happen. Like, why am I going through this? And it was just like questioning, why am I here? Why now? And so obviously being here at Baylor and having that faith aspect and having, those around you that are deep in their faith too, I was able to get outside the dugout after I had seen the doctor. And I had like three of my teammates plus coaches that were able to put their hand on me and like pray for me. Um, and I feel like that was like the turning tide because I thought that I wasn't even going to be able to play the rest of the season. But I was able to play the rest of the season, just had to have like a sully on the whole time playing. And that kind of just like, it definitely tested my faith because at some point even when I had the sully on, it wasn't even that like, it was just a protective measure, but stuff was still happening. Like my shoulder was popping out in and out of place sometimes when I would swing in the middle of a swing in the middle of the game. And I just had to take like a moment, but that was like really a time where my faith was tested. It was honestly something that I just had to like trust that God was good, like, is going to be there for me, and be there, which he always is. And so just having that and continuing to build off of that while being here was kind of like my turning point.
Yeah. Wow. And for you?
Yeah, for me, I think at my previous school when I was at LSU, I had a injury. I got hit in the head and basically had a concussion and was out for a minute. And so I think the hardest part about that was I for sure hit like an all-time low. I don't think I've ever hit a low that low in my life. But they kind of shut you down from school and obviously softball isolated from the whole team. And I think going in as a freshman, that is very hard while you're already competing for a spot and, trying to push through all of the difficulties that college brings anyways, and being so far away from home. And so I think that was the lowest point. But I feel like in the moment, obviously, I was very tested and there's a lot going on. And I think I was honestly cried like every day. But I feel like looking back now, this is my 5th year. I ended up redshirting that year. So looking back, seeing how God had his hand on me that whole time and just the process of going through that, I would not be the same person without that and all the trials that I had to go through to be the person that I am today.
Do you, either of you in those moments, like remember what your internal kind of thoughts were kind of day to day? Like, is there anything that stands out of like, man, I just gotta get through this one thing, or I don't know.
Well, there's a moment that I don't think I'll ever forget. That I'll never forget. I remember I finally got the okay to kind of come back and start practicing again. And I would be there till like 1 a.m. hitting. Like I was just dealing with a lot. And I remember this one time in the cage, and I was like, I remember, and I took like a mental picture, and I was like, don't ever forget this moment because like I know it's hard now. And I remember like fighting back, and it was like I'm just not the same me that I know I can be. But I know that when it comes to my 5th year, even though it felt so far away, and I was like, this is going to pay off one day. And like, that's a moment that I look back to on the days when it's like, I'm out there on the field, and not that I take it for granted, but days when I'm like, this is a hard day or this is something I need to pursue. I look back and like, if I could go through that, I can go through anything.
That snapshot, yeah. I've definitely had moments like that before where you just, for whatever reason in that point in time, you just decide to take a mental snapshot of where you are and you decide to remember that moment and you can kind of just reference it, like you said.
Yeah, I feel like mine, I do have a mental shot because I kept telling them this past week and I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I like tore my labrum, like swinging. Um, and so not, I just remember like that time specifically, when it happened, like the exact play and everything that went down like right after. But not that I don't really don't try to go back to that situation just because like I love to hit, and knowing that that happened while I was hitting is like something that like took a lot for me to like swallow, like a pill to swallow. But yeah, I mean, I just try to think about why I went through it. What was I tested in? Which was definitely my faith and like playing on the softball field. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
So kind of shifting a little bit, Presleigh, you're one of the toughest players to strike out. What's your secret?
Oh, um, I do a lot of vision work. We would meet with this guy's name's Ryan the Eye Guys that we'd call him, and he gives us a lot of vision training tools. And I genuinely think not just striking out, but my defensive, why I see the ball so well is literally because of the vision drills that I do to help my eyes. It's a muscle, so I think that's the biggest thing that helps me with that.
Can you kind of go into that a little bit deeper? Like what kind of eye exercise?
She's laughing as she sees me do it practicing games. I go in the hall and I try to hide, but I'll do my vision stuff. I have this string is the main thing that I use, and it has like it's basically like a string, and it's got like black lines on it, and then it goes all the way down, and there's like softballs that you could put on the thing. And then I'll use my eyes and I'll like track each one, and it's just a vision thing, and it has like seams on it. So it's super small on a string, and it goes like all the way out to the thing. And I'll just track each one. I confirm for backhand, forehand, or hitting lefty. Not a righty, but I field backhand. I'll do both sides. And I think that's the biggest thing that separates me when I'm in the box.
And how often do you do those exercises, would you say?
A few times a week. I try to do it before I hit. Sometimes if I'm rushing from school, I can't. But before every single game, I do it. It's a part of my routine. So very often.
Yeah. Have you ever tried one of her
Yes,
exercises?
I have tried. And when I was doing it, she was like, your head is probably gonna hurt the first time that you do it. But no, I actually liked it. I just hadn't kept doing it, but I liked it. It was cool.
And I know teams are very much afraid to pitch you. You've been walked so many times. In those moments, are you frustrated or is it kind of flattering?
It's both, you know. I get frustrated just because obviously like I want to help my team win. But then at the same time, like that is helping my team win and just trusting that my teammates have my back. So, that's just kind of like the mindset that I take with it, not try to like put too much pressure on myself. And really honestly, not even too much on them. They just like have to play their game because they're definitely like, you know, they're definitely good enough to do whatever they like put their mind to, hit the ball or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of the mindset that I take with it.
I know Amber said that there's even like a chant, or what was the chant? There's like a chant or something. Yeah.
Oh, we do have one. We have a trooper. It's also very frustrating as for a teammate because everyone's scared to pitch to her. I'm like, I told her this weekend, I'm like, your batting average would be so much higher if people pitch you, but they just walk you if you on.
Yeah.
They're so scared to pitch to her.
That's cool. So obviously you both are insanely talented players. What do you do to kind of maybe help with the pressure or expectations when that pressure is on?
Yeah, I actually go to a sports psychologist here on campus. And she has changed seriously since like when I tore my labrum after I started to go see her. And she definitely have helped me change like mentally and I can say like physically because like that obviously mentally is like going down. It's just how I play on the field. And so I have been able to do exposure therapy with her. So I was able to get on the field, act like I'm playing, just go through the whole thing so that whenever I do get on the field, it's not like it's something like new. And just able to, she's giving me like the resources to be able to calm my heartbeat, my heart rate down whenever I'm in like a big at bat or like before the game. And things like that. So just like using those resources that she's given me, kind of helps take the pressure off of me and realize that, it's not just like a game, like it's more than a game, like a life is more than a game. And just having her to like again the faith aspect in Baylor, she brings in like the faith and mental health and she mixes it together. So knowing that like I'm not on the field by myself, like God is there with me and our job is to shine his light through us playing. And so yeah, that she's kind of helped me with that.
That's so cool. I don't think I've ever really heard. I mean, it makes total sense that someone like that exists, but so is that a resource that the school kind of gives you, or?
Yes.
That's so neat. And can you talk a little bit more about like kind of the things she teaches you, or?
Yeah, so whenever I first started working with her, I did feel a lot of pressure based off of like the labrum tear and having that good season and coming back and like, am I even going to be able to swing how I used to swing and things like that? And so the exposure therapy is when I would get on the field and she would act like a pitcher. I would be up to bat and she would pitch. She don't even like know how to pitch. She'd be like, strike one. And I'm like, okay. And then I would go through an at bat and then she'd be like, okay, like how is your heartbeat right? How's your heart rate right now? And I would be like, oh, it's like flying through the roof. And she's like, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to talk to yourself and say, like, I'm better than her. I'm God's child. I'm fearless. And just like saying those things over and over, to yourself is going to make you not think about, you know, what's going on in your body, your pressure, your heart rate, your everything that's like going up super high at that time. And so that was like one of the first things that we have done. We kind of go back to it just because like my heart rate sometimes still gets super high. But then like she just realizes like the other day we had a session and she was like, what is this? And we're on the field and I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, what are we on? And I'm like, dirt. And she's like, so you're gonna let some dirt hurt you? Like, and I'm like, okay, like she's like, you need to sit, like she just lets me be able to simplify the game and not overcomplicate it because that's exactly when my heart rate starts to go up. So yeah, just simplifying the game, her and just like her using the Bible as like, you know, David versus Goliath. Like she's like, okay, you're gonna act like it's like David versus Goliath. You in the world, you have spirits, like evil spirits versus like you. And she's like, think about it, like your anxiety, all those things are just evil spirits, like things that are trying to come in and take over your mind. And then that's when she gave me the resources to combat those. And just to know that like every day you wake up, you have to put the full armor of God on, and just be able to know that all those things that are coming in, that's not what God says about you. And just knowing that you are, perfect in his eyes, like everything is like he's already conquered everything, which kind of helps me go to like being on the field.
Wow. It seems like such a combination of very important things, like that awareness piece, that self-talk piece, and hyping yourself up, that faith piece. That's really cool. How often do you work with her?
Every Tuesday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what about for you? Like when you're just kind of working out through those nerves?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing, I've met with a mental performance coach when I was at LSU, actually. And I think the biggest thing, and I had a one-on-one with him, and same thing was like, not necessarily on the field lights, but when I would get in the box, sometimes my heart rate would be like beating so a million miles per hour. And I'm like, I'm not nervous. I don't really get nervous in the games, but my heart rate would be beating so fast that I feel like it's about to jump out of my chest. And he made me walk out onto the field, and he was like, at practice, no one was in the stands. It was a completely empty field. And he's like, go to your position. And I remember standing at second base. And he's like, look around. And he's like, do you have any pressure? Like, are you nervous or any of this? And I was like, no. Like, I feel perfectly fine. He goes, remember this moment. He goes, when the big moment and the stands are filled and everyone's there screaming, he goes, I want you to, literally, I took a mental picture again, like literally, and looked around the whole field. And so now I'll look around, even if the stands are filled, and I'm like, go back to that moment. No one's there. It's the same thing as I'm at practice. The bases don't change, it's just me at practice. Same thing, and step out on the field and try to go back to that moment when it was just, and it really calms me down. I think that's the biggest thing for me, and I always do that a lot of times if I get not nervous, because I think I dream of being in those high pressure situations. You dream of those moments since you were young. So just when it does get to that, to not let the moment be too big. It's just like I'm at practice.
That's huge. I feel like that probably instills so much stillness in like an instant.
Yes, it's just a lot of peace too. And I think the other thing too is being at Baylor, that's the biggest thing is we do chapel every Sunday, they bring God. And if I would meet with Danny and we would do Bible study together in her office. And I think just remembering that God is at the center of everything. So to always go back to that. And our motto this year is through him, for him. And so I think a lot of that on the field, when it starts to get heavy too, we'll meet in and everyone's like, all right, through him, for him. And it's just like brings you back to center and where everything needs to be. And it's very peaceful. So
wow, lovely. And so kind of speaking more on that culture aspect, what kind of is it about Baylor that really makes it feel like family here?
Yeah, I feel like Coach Moore is like a girl dad. He's like he is always taking pictures and sending them to our parents. He is like a big teddy bear. And so when I first came on my visit, I thought that he was so mean, like just seeing him, because we would play them and he would just look so mean. And I'm like, I don't know, Mom, if I want to go, here just to like play. He looked so mean. And so we got to visit with him and he was so sweet. It was like he was a big teddy bear. He was like, and he was like, we offer so many things here besides softball. And we just want to prepare you for afterlife. And having like being competitive, obviously in softball is one of the best things. And then the schooling here, it's, top notch, especially for me, because I want to go into the medical field. So, having that, and then obviously the faith aspect, and just they want you to grow outside of being a softball player. And I love that here about not only is that like the coaches and the staff, but that's everyone in the athletic department. They want to see you grow outside of being an athlete.
Very cool. I'll come back to the medical field part, but yeah, what is it for you that kind of makes it feel like family?
Yeah, I mean, that's also true. And I think too, you should have showed exactly how Coach Moore does his pictures or videos. Yeah, he's like this. The sun's like sideways.
I know.
He didn't touch it to be. It's like this, and he's like this, and he'll be like all up, literally as we're doing this stuff. It's really funny.
Is he an iPhone guy or Android?
He's an iPhone, but I don't think he really knows how to work it.
We're still working on that.
I feel like it makes a difference sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, obviously it's very family oriented and you can say that all day, but this one time I'm roommates with the basketball player Bella, and so she wanted to go shoot some hoops and I went with her one of the days. This was last year, and my car had broken down in the parking lot and it was like 9 at night. And my first call was Coach Moore, and I call him up, and him and Janice were the first people to come to help me. And I think that just says a lot about them as people. And truly, no matter what the situation is outside of softball, obviously softball wise, they're amazing. But outside of the field, you can call them for anything and they'll always be, right there when you need them. Especially being so far away from home and family, it is true that any one of them I could call and they would pick up and be there for me.
Wow.
That's the biggest thing that I think is very family oriented is, they always have your back and they truly mean it.
That's huge. Because where is your family from?
I'm from California.
Okay. Okay. And what about you again?
I'm from Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like I knew that.
Mhm.
So what do you want to study in the medical field?
So right now I'm getting my master's in public health. Hopefully I can like run a nonprofit or or run a hospital. There's so many things that in public health that I'm interested in. So really after I graduate, I'm gonna figure out what I want to do. But those are kind of the two top main things that I want to do. Yeah.
Wow. And what kind of excites you outside of softball?
Well, currently I'm getting my minor in American Sign Language, so that's like something that I have a big passion for, but I'm not sure what I want to do outside of when I graduate.
Yeah, I feel like you got plenty of time to kind of figure it out. And then you guys both, you mentioned you both came from different schools, right? Kind of too, can you talk about how you felt that culture shift, like coming here? Like, you don't have to go super into comparing and contrasting, or you can, whatever, but just kind of like, yeah, first of all, what was that whole process like for you? And did it kind of just feel like a breath of fresh air when you came here?
Yeah, before I transferred, I was at Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches. It's a small school, but I had great coaches and great teammates, and actually, like, being there is one of the reasons why I am kind of like it's like one of the reasons why I am who I am coming here, because we didn't have that like many resources. We were vacuuming in our locker room, we were taking out our trash, we were cleaning the field, like we were doing everything there, and then coming here, it was obviously like it was a culture shock in the fact that like I don't have to do that stuff anymore. Like we actually have people that are hired to do that, which I'm so grateful for that. And just like knowing how much work it takes. Right. How much work it was to actually do that, but it just made me more grateful for everything that I have now. And just like, being appreciative of stuff that we have, because, it is definitely different from Stephen F. Austin, but it's good in a good way. And being at Stephen F. Austin, it was, perfectly fine. It was just kind of, a change that I feel like I needed to have.
Nice. Yeah.
I think for me, the biggest thing or my most favorite thing about Baylor when I came in here was the chemistry of our team. I think, you always say that about teams we're close, but we really became best friends and super close very quickly. I think it showed a lot on the field, which is why we did so well. Our first few years, we were the only team that beat Oklahoma that first year we came in. And I remember like nothing bonded us more than just that year. In our second year that we came in, we had a lot of trials that we went through. And I think it really bonds us. And when we went to BYU that weekend was a huge... We went through a lot that first few weeks, but I think that when we got to that point, it was like a shift in our team. And a lot of it was how close we were, and we did a lot of work outside of softball and hung out a lot, which really built the chemistry of that team. So I think that's the biggest thing that from Baylor, from my old school, that I will cherish forever.
Wow. And so every great team, I feel like, has a certain vibe. How would you describe the vibe of your team?
I don't know. We just have so many personalities. Like we have the loud vibe, and then we have the chill, like we're old vibe. Like it's a mix. I don't really know how would you?
I don't know. The vibe is interesting to say.
Like we always have a good vibe, but it's just like we have those like people that are just like, oh my gosh, yes, like so loud, and then it's just all the rest of us are just like, like, we're just in the background, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of variety, and I think the biggest thing that I would say is like everyone not like accommodates to everyone's vibe, but like we just know each other so well that we know how to go about people. So there's not a lot of like beef or like things going on outside of that because we're so close that we just know each other's personalities and how we mesh. And like some people need days where they just want to be at home by themselves. Like that's okay. And we not gonna force you to come or you know what I'm saying, out of your comfort zone. But we want you to be your best if that's how you're gonna be your best. And we accept you for who you are.
And when you're kind of having an off day, or just not feeling it, like what helps you keep your spirits up, your confidence kind of in check?
Mine is definitely like reading my Bible and just getting into the word. That definitely helps me like gain my confidence back. And then definitely going to get a massage. Like that is in the routine now. I go and get a massage at least every 2 weeks. Yeah, it's become an investment, but it's worth
Is
it.
it like a Swedish, a deep tissue?
Yeah, it's a Swedish with some hot stones. Like the hot stones added, it just, it puts it over the top.
What is it? I mean, obviously massages are great, but like, you must really just feel the difference.
Yes, I'm getting old. Okay. I'm getting old. And so my body is definitely starting to feel it. And so just going to get the massage and then how I feel after, I feel like brand new. And then the next day I'm like, hold on, like I can go out here and do the splits. Like that's how I'm feeling. But yeah, it's changed. I feel like so much of just how I've been able to play and recover.
Have you tried other modalities like maybe acupuncture or cupping as well?
Yes, done the acupuncture, done the cupping, and I mean, it's cool, but like it still hurts.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it feels like I feel like I'm more of the acupuncture because it's like a quicker like that feels better after instead of like the cupping. But yeah, I haven't got that in a long time just because yeah, the massages are really
Instantly gratifying is like I feel like a massage, but I am a fan of acupuncture as well. It hurts for like a second,
right. Yeah, that one hurts for a second, but
and then I just take the biggest nap because there's needles in you, so you can't move.
yeah,
And then I just sleep.
that is true.
What about for
I
you?
still need to see you try to do splits after all that.
Man,
You feel like you do splits.
I feel like it, but I don't think I can do it.
I think for me, especially on like the day that I'm just not doing my best, I like to do something that's keeps my mind away from softball a little bit. Whether that just be going to my favorite coffee shop, something simple, just something to get my mind off of. Obviously, if it's not my day, a little bit different, or go somewhere where I like to eat too. So like, if it's just a place where I can go sit down and just, honestly, I would go by myself and I'm time in my life. I just need to go somewhere else to get my mind off of it, and that helps me get my mind right.
Yeah, just like doing all the little things that you like, and
Yes.
that's nice. And so are you guys, because I mean, I used to have a best friend that I used to also work with and also be roommates with. Like when your friendship ever becomes too much, if it ever does, how do you kind of go about that? And are you able to also, do you have to compartmentalize being teammates and also very great friends?
I don't feel like we do. I feel like we can usually tell each other like how we feel, and then the next like 20 minutes will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're genuinely like sisters. Like, and I have 3 sisters back home, so I think testifying to that. Obviously, there are days when like something's gonna happen, and it's like just on the field, but like Shaylon will come to me and be like, "You shouldn't have done that," or like, "That ball you really should have got to." And obviously, I'm already mad about it because I know I should have got to that ball. But she'll tell me how it is, and it's not something where I'm like mad at her for saying that. It's like she's trying to make me a better person and a better athlete on the field. So knowing that. And I think that's the big thing about knowing each personality. Like, the way she's going to come tell me isn't how she's going to go tell Amber or someone else on the team. So knowing each other really well helps with that. You know, like, sometimes I'm like, I just need you to yell at me. Like, that's how I take it. Like, that's what I mean. You know, like, you don't have to come and be like, hey, like, here's what I think. That's not going to go well. Like, I won't take it as good as you just yell at me really quick and I'll be good.
Do you do the same for her?
Pretty much. I don't necessarily, she knows. I know she knows what's going on. So a lot of times I let her do her thing. But like, if something does, or like a communication error or something happens, for sure we could talk about it with each other and feel good about it. Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. So kind of as we come to a close here, what are your goals for the future, both just individual and as a player?
For me, I do want to continue to play softball, so hopefully after I graduate I could play like pro. for a couple years and possibly like get a tryout to go to USA. That's like my biggest goal. And then I would completely stop playing softball, like for real.
Wow.
And then just like for my future, like outside of softball, like I said, start a nonprofit and or just get like more experience in the public health field before like I for sure find what I want to do. But yeah, that's kind of how I have to.
Wonderful.
For me, I obviously love softball so much that I would love to stay in the sport and coach it. So one day being a coach at a high level would be my dream. College is really the goal that I really would like to stay in. But I think that's the biggest thing is I just love the sport so much that I want to give back because it's given me everything that I have to this day.
Love that. And my last question is for any young person who would dream of playing, college softball, is there any just piece of advice that really stands out, whether it be in the recruitment process or just anything?
Yeah, I feel like I just tell people that like enjoy the journey and that know that like God has the plan, wherever that looks like. Um, just don't try to put too much pressure on yourself to get recruited, probably to like where you want to go or anything like that. Just know that like the plan is already like has already been written. And so to just follow what God has for you and see where it leads you. I feel like that's kind of it.
I think my biggest thing is just to stay true to who you are. Everyone has different strengths, Shay over here can hit the ball 500 feet over the fence. I was not born to necessarily do that, but I think for me, my defense is something that stands out. So, like, to really, truly work on your craft and know, like, what you bring to the table. And I think that's what makes it seem so special. So, stay true to who you are.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here, you guys. I really enjoyed being able to talk to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank
Yes.
you.